So I guess we're live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Shadow Hour. I'm Greg with Shadow Hunters, an investigator there. This series is covering a wide range of paranormal guests who have crossed my path in the realm or have worked with me on investigations or paracons. And we're just going to wait for Jeff here for a few minutes. And in the process of doing that, once again, we sort of are gratefully talking about Lost Limbs Foundation, and that's Lost Limbs Foundation is an organization by a man by the name of Mike Couch, who had been with us on a previous show, and we're there to help them out in whatever way we can. So if you want to make a donation or you want a tip or anything like that, be sure to go ahead and go to Lost Limbs Foundation and make it to the Lost Limbs Foundation. I had the address here a while ago, and I don't know where I put it. Anyway, that's part of the introduction for the night. We have coming up next week, we have Tobias Wayland and his wife, Emily, who are the people that run the Singular Fortean Society. And Singular Fortean Society is an organization that investigates everything from UFOs to cryptics to sea monsters to you name it, Bigfoot, everything. So they're very busy people. They have a great organization. They do a lot with UFOs and things like that too. So if you get the opportunity, be sure to go ahead and check it out. So any minute now. But I wanted to get this stuff together and taken care of, and I'm sure that this is going to be quite a night, I think. But I know that my other group, Ghost Research Society, they're down in Oblong, Illinois right now, and they're doing some investigations down there with Crawford County Ghost Chasers with Jason Snyder. And so that's Dale Kazmarek is down there. And they've been doing lives all night tonight. So if you're interested in Dale and GRS, my other group, be sure to go ahead and say hi to them for me and enjoy what you find out. I had something else here too. And we might as well talk about the shows because you know about the Shadow Hunters Paranormal, you know, Monday night or Tuesday night, we have our friends Sharon Moritz, who Sharon is a card reader, so she would be doing oracle cards on Tuesday nights. She's got a great following, and there's a lot of people that go onto the show to see what she's up to. So Sharon's really on it. She's a very, very good reader, and she's a great psychic medium. So on Wednesday nights is Scotty Rourke, and he's another psychic medium, and he has a paranormal show that comes on at 7 o'clock. Sharon's show comes on at 6. Scotty's at 7, and he usually has some fine guests. This last week, last Wednesday, he had that Brian Horace. That was one of the old investigators from the original Ghost Hunters, who right out of the clear blue up and quit, and so Hopefully he'll be on here in a minute. I'm just waiting to see if he's on or not. I'm going to try it again. He's already been there, so we're just going to wait on him a minute. Push comes to shove, we can go back and try to figure out where he was. So where else were we at? Every time we get involved with a lot of this from back in the spiritualistic age or the spirit age, back in the United States, they used to have there's a Calvin Van Crush, who is a prime occult collector, and he has a spirit trumpet, and it's something that they used to use back in those seances they'd have in the rooms, and they'd bring the spirit trumpet out, and supposedly the ghosts would use it to amplify their voices through it. I know that on our shows, we also, I'm jumping around too much. I thought he'd be on already, but we sent him an invite, so he should be coming. Let's see what it says here. We're still 6 minutes in before we actually start, but I wanted to get a jump on this. So hold on to your socks. I'm going to see if I can't get him on again. Maybe send him another invite, but he's waiting for 8 o'clock probably. As soon as I see it up there, I get him up and running. I don't know what's been going on. I know it's been really hot. I know a lot of the investigations around and with the troubles and everything else that are going on. It's a good thing to get out of it for a while and do some investigating. And I know one thing that I could talk about right now is Ursula Bielski's Paracon. It's going to be up in Holcomb, Wisconsin, at a resort up there on the weekend of the 15th and 16th of October. That's always really interesting. If you can go ahead and get tickets, they're still available for up there, I believe. It's quite some time to be able to go ahead and I get bit by a mud wasp and last week, and I'm on steroids, so it's affecting me right now. I know that all the people that all the people that are around tonight, I don't know who's on here or what, but I'm waiting for this. I might as well. Let's try this again. Okay, we're back. Send him to it again. Hopefully he's got it. And hopefully we're on our way. I know it's pretty crazy. I know I've got a lot of people that, pay attention to what's going on and everything. And it's very interesting to know all the work we've been doing. Nicholas has been doing a great job keeping everything together and all the shows during the week and everything. And this Jeff and Nancy Rezman are unbelievable people. And I could sort of do a little introduction on my own about them. Last year at the Paracon in Chicago, the last one that was held, I was getting ready to speak on the Estes method. And it was later on Friday night, and I was there and I had my gear out on a table, and right out of the clear blue, this guy shows up and introduces himself. And he says, "You work spirit boxes?" And I said, "Yes." And it was like, "My name is Jeff Rezman." And that's what started it all up. And he gave me a whole different insight as far as spirit boxes were concerned and what's been going on. And I know that it's really interesting to know that we have people in this industry that can go their own way. Jeff and his wife, Nancy, primarily do all their investigations on their own. They're just a team. And they do most of the investigations. I'll check with him tonight when he gets on here now. It sounds like he does most of them strictly by the spirit boxes. And he's the gentleman that told me that, this is your own spirit box and shouldn't share it with anybody. And he assigned a guide that he had to overlook everything. Okay, here we go. I think we're going to be live. Holy cow. Let me get my hair. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no problem. You hear me okay?
Okay. Yes, sir. Jeff, I'm Greg. Glad to meet you.
I remember you.
Okay. I was talking a little bit before because I wanted to try to get everything up and running before I went ahead and brought you people in. And I know that I didn't mention too much, but I had mentioned the fact that you had come across me at the Paracon and just came up and introduced yourself and asked what if I do anything about spirit boxes. And I can remember going ahead and said, I think I did, but you sort of opened up my eyes as far as that world was concerned of something that I thought I knew a lot about, and I really didn't. And for that, I'm thankful. And, you sort of open up my eyes even more to everything on the spirit realm itself, including going into the point of guides and everything else.
Well, we appreciate that, but that's what we're here for. We're here to help everyone and to guide them. And the more people that do it, and that's a better way to succinctly put it, to do it correctly and be respectful, the better the results are, better the communication, the better messaging, and it just, in the long run, it just works out a lot better for everyone.
Do you want to let everybody know how long you've been doing this and some of your history?
Nancy's coming. We've been doing this 2007, I believe, is when we started. We started doing it in 2007, so that's been 13 years now.
That's really cool.
I'm sorry, the dogs. All right, guys, knock it off. So we've been doing it, and we started out through various different boxes. And at the time we were doing it, there were only a few people in the country that were actually doing it and trying to find someone who was actually doing it and to get a good box that would work. This is before the Shack hacks. Frank Sumption was the only one that did it. And then the Joe's box was the second box out there.
So Frank's was the first?
Frank's was the first, yes. Because we saw up in Wisconsin a demonstration with the Frank's box from someone who had it at a haunted bed and breakfast that was extremely haunted and was absolutely amazing. We talked to lots and lots of spirits.
Wow. That's really interesting because, you know, Robin Terry from Ashmore and that, I was told that he had one or two of the Wayne's boxes. I think they were Frank's boxes. And it was like, if I could get my hands on any of those, on one of those, I would really, really love to have it. But, you know, that hasn't materialized. So I went out and bought a portal instead.
Well, we were, my wife and I, a friend, we were at the Ashmore Estates before it was sold to the old owner, and had a lot of interesting experiences there, and especially with the Joe's box and some of the spirits there actually saw and experienced an electrician and actually electrocuted himself and saw him. He was actually dying right there on the second floor. And it's just an absolutely amazing facility. And unfortunately, I was not too well versed in the protocols that later worked with the box. And 3 weeks later, I found that we trapped one of the spirits, Phillips, in my ghost box. And when I fired it up 3 weeks later on the 4th of July to show it the box to someone, he came through and he was really pissed off at me.
So what is the proper protocol for everybody out there that's been using a spirit box and, you know, almost like a toy?
First of all, the spirit box, ghost box, spirit box, it's a tool. It is not the end all be all. It's like a Mel meter or any other meter or device. It's a tool. It's used for communication. And the best thing I can describe it is be respectful to the spirits that are there. You ask, you be respectful to them, and you be nice to them, they'll be nice back to you. You just don't be, hey, I want to talk to someone, give me someone now, this and that. And then when you start to build a rapport and relationship with them and you earn their respect, you can turn around and help people and say, hey, so-and-so, John's father died. His name is Frank so-and-so. Can you go out and work with a spirit guide? Can you go get his father so we can communicate? And they will be nice enough to do that.
Wow.
So it can get really, really amazing when you do it on a straight purpose for it. Whereas if you saw the demonstration we did at the Ghost Conference, we said we never know who or what is going to come through, and it's going to be for someone in the audience. We know that much.
Wow.
As you saw if you were there for the woman with a child whose grandfather died a month earlier, and it was just brought the child up, and they were communicating with the grandfather in his voice and giving a very personalized message for him. So we have no control over that unless we specifically set out to request a specific entity or, spirit, spook, ghost, however you want to refer to them.
Yeah, I went back and I just looked a little bit because since the last Ghost Con, I haven't put in a lot of time on trying to figure out who my guests are. And I looked up some stuff and I came across an article. And the reason I'm going to talk about it is because I worked in Elk Grove Village at the post office, and I retired from there in 2002.
That's 5 minutes from my office.
And I probably know, that's probably where I know you from anyway, because I was there all the time. I worked in bulk mail. I was a bulk mail technician. Well, anyway, 2011, I can remember hearing from a couple of my friends down there that Ghost Con was going to be at the Holiday Inn. And that's the year that you guys were there and Ed Shanahan was doing his Circle of Energy seance.
That was the PKK, wasn't that? Paranormal Kicks Cancer.
Okay. And it talked a little bit about what his description of his seance was. And it was pretty enlightening. And I was wondering if you can remember what happened.
Oh my God. Only too well. He calls it an electronic seance. He calls it. He wanted 2 boxes fired up. He had a Shack Hack and we fired up the Frank's box. And I kind of warned him, so that is a big, big mistake. Because now we got 2 portals going and they're opposing each other. Not very good at all. And it was funny because sitting next to me was one of the Chicago paranormal detectives from their TV show, Austin from Melrose Park or Stone Park, police officer. And nice guy. And he ended up talking to some spirits entities that were coming through the boxes. And what was coming through the boxes was not good. And someone from Ed's group was a trance medium and was talking with the spirit. It was an elderly woman that was coming through. And I immediately jumped in there. I said, stop it. I know who you are. I felt you come into the room. I know why you're here. We want you to tell us. You are not an elderly woman. And then all of a sudden, the voice changed and it was a male's voice and very deep and graspy. And it was there because we were all there. And it was, and Austin, Austin being Austin, says, I'm a police officer. Be pulling the cop shtick. I'm like, Austin, please relax the spirit. You can't shoot a ghost. Believe me, I tried. You can't do it. He's like, you can't talk to me that way. He says, you don't know what you're dealing with here. And it was a very, very nasty entity. And it was because of the spiritual energy we had in that room at that time. It was just, what was I going to say? It was a perfect breeding ground for it. Mm-hmm. And it was just not a good situation, But you never put 2 boxes on at the same time.
Did you all have your hands together?
At one point, he did have everybody.
Hey, Nancy, come on in.
Yeah, hold on. At one point, he did have everybody.
Anyway, it was like, when I read it, it was extremely interesting. And I think I had heard the story from some of the people from the South Side.
Oh, there were people that were physically affected. And when I mean physically affected, they were nauseous, sick, headaches. I think Jim Heater was affected by it very badly. And it was just, it was basically an overdose of bad energy.
Hi, Nancy. Glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It was a very, very bad spirit.
Wow.
Anyone who was empathic could pick up on his energy. And we just tried to get rid of him, get this entity out of there as soon as possible because it was not good for anything or anyone.
Yeah.
So you guys together, do you guys go out on investigations?
We used to. We now a lot of times we do a lot of things where we're helping people remotely. We're doing things like that. We haven't been on. Jeff's been on more investigations last year than I was because I was working. So he did a few, but we do them more on the private spectrum instead of big groups and things like that. Because it's so hard to control that situation when you have a whole bunch of people If you're going for the pleasure and the fun of going, that's great. But if you're going to really do, you want to get hard research and you want to do that, it's so difficult because the events are compromised. You've got people talking, you've got people walking.
Sometimes you got people that are partying, like
Yeah.
the thing we did up in Zion with
At the haunted house. Yeah.
And then we had this drunk
Oh yeah.
idiot next to us. I just wanted to throw him out, and really pissed off the spirits.
Yeah. So, but when we did do investigations, it was always a lot of fun. That's what I look at it for. I look at it the fun part of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm more on the empathetic side, so I get the emotions and I get that part of it before
Right.
anything else comes. So I'm the one who's always hanging back a little bit and just kind of letting everybody else do their thing. And I get the ones that are sad, and I get the ones who've had tragic experiences, and those are the spirits that come to me.
Well, the one thing that here, let me stress this with this spirit box, ghost box. You don't need to be physically on location,
Right.
to tune into something that is going on somewhere else in a different physical location. You could do it from your home, and you could ask the spirit guides to help you tune into what's going on there. And if you have a good relationship with the spirit guide, they will help you and they will guide you and they will give you all the information of what's going on in this other location. You don't need to basically schlep 1,000 miles and spend $1,000 to go out to try to help someone. When you do it right, you can do it from
You can do it from right there.
the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, because when you're turning on the box, you're opening up that portal and you don't know where the spirits are coming from. It's just like opening the door. You open the door and everybody comes in who wants to come in. So
And you have to do your best to control it.
control that. That's what the spirit guides are for, to help you control the other side.
That's really amazing. I know since I talked to Jeff, I tried to go ahead and put everything together and take the people in my group, in the Shadow Hunters group. You see, I'm a member there, and I'm also a member at GRS. So I'm from the south side of Chicago too, with Dale Kasmerick.
Right.
And we always had issues with spirit boxes on locations because people would constantly you'd say head, they'd say dead.
Yeah.
And, it go back and forth, and it was like, I actually put my spirit box away until I started getting involved in the Estes and said, wow, now we could put headphones on and we could just say the words that we hear, and we're not going to go ahead and be subject to that kind of interplay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody who's going to disagree with what you're hearing because we all hear things differently. When we do a box session and we're in a location with a lot of people, I stand at a different point in the room than he does.
I put her in the farthest point.
He's up in front, he's by the box, and I'm in a corner or I'm in the back of the room. There's times when I'll be standing next to him, but I won't be close to him. I'll be farther away from him because the further away you are, the different sounds you're going to hear. Like,
Which we mentioned some about that yesterday, which that's what it is. 100 feet away, someone's going to hear something that I'm not going to hear because I'm right on top of it. But when the sound travels, you can hear it much easier.
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes when you're at the box, you're getting all those different voices coming through and you're hearing all that. But when you're away from the box, you're hearing things a little bit more clearly. Just like when you have headphones on and you're listening to it, you're hearing it clearer. So you're getting the better definition of the words. The words are clearer for you to hear. Like you said, somebody says name, somebody hears game. It's
Right.
just.
We used to call it, when we first started out, called ghost box ear. Because you had to learn the frequencies and train yourself what to listen for. So you heard it. Because there's 3 ways that the signal comes through. Under the original signal, through it, or right on top. When it's right on top, you can't miss it. It's like we're talking right now. And when it's in the middle of the signal, you hear the interruptions and you can make out what it's saying. But when it's under it, it's like heterodyny. It's a little bit harder to hear, but after you've been doing it and you do it so long,
your ears become tuned to it.
You really become tuned to it, and it becomes absolutely amazing.
So do you actually just run your box a certain way all the time, or do you fluctuate it?
Turn it on.
And I know that's a secret question, but
no, it's not a matter of being a secret.
Well, you have to. Okay. Now remember, when you got if I remember correctly, you're using PSB7.
yes.
Okay, that's Gary's box. Happened to be a great box. I still have mine. And it goes backwards, forwards. You can adjust the sweep rate and everything on it. And it is a very, very sweet little box. But the problem is with it is just the reception on it, depending on where you're at. But there's a way to get around that. But when doing it, there are people that have gone out and bought 6 different boxes because they can't get reception. Or they can't get communication. Well, you know what? It's not the spirit box's problem. It's that person doing it. Because I try to explain and teach people whenever I built a box for them or sold them a box, and I made sure the box was registered to them and that the spirits knew who they were, that this is their box. Okay? And they know who they are, and they're always to be respectful. And like, your box is your box. Okay? Someone else goes to use it, they're probably going to get bupkis for communication. Nothing. You're going to put it in your hand and you're going to get wonderful communication. And that everyone's like, well, why doesn't it work for me? You have to build a relationship with your box. Okay? And it sounds weird, but you're talking to an inanimate object that you're actually talking to spirits through it.
And the boxes that we have, they're Jeff's boxes. They're not mine. The spirit will.
It won't answer her.
I mean, they will, but he normally will say, you guys can talk to Nance, or
I have to instruct them. Go figure that.
Because a lot of people respond to me.
We did a show once where she was sick and we were doing a box session. It kicked her out of the room.
Spirit told me to leave the room because we were doing a show.
Yeah.
And Spirit told me to leave the room. I said, why do I have to leave the room? Because you're sick.
Yeah, she moved over on the table and like, no, leave the room.
So I went on the other side. Our kitchen is L-shaped. So I went on the other side of the counter and I said, is this far enough away for you? And they said, yes. So it was like, I'm getting kicked out of the room and this is my house.
Yeah, so Ghost was kicking her out
because I was sick. Yeah, I was sick. I was going to infect all the spirits. So
that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, once you start to develop a relationship with the box, or spirit starts to trust the reason why you want to communicate with them, then it opens up a whole new plateau for you.
Now here, I'm going to mention some names. We did the box session once, and when on our show, and our friend Bobcat called in from down south, and we were talking to Ron Santos. Ron Santo. So you're being a Chicagoan, South, you know who Ron Santo is. Yeah. So we're like, okay. I kept in the background. We kept hearing, hey. So, like, okay, I got to address that. And the Bobcat's going like, that can't be. I'm like, let's bring it through. So now we got Ron Santo and Harry Carey on the line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is really Harry Carey. I've been to enough Cubs games. I want you to do what you did at the middle of the 7th inning stretch. I want you to do what you do. And he gave us a rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So we just sat there singing to us.
And normal people would think that that's so far-fetched, that that's really not what I'm hearing, that I'm hearing it only because you're saying it. But we record every session that we do. And, sometimes when you're playing back, though, spirit plays with you and they don't put it on the recording. They'll phase that part of it out. But, yeah, they were...
This was full audio. You heard him actually singing to us. Everyone else shut up, stopped talking, and it was all Harry Carey giving us his rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Yeah, when Jeff and I one year went to Acapulco, And it was not too far
The Bay of Acapulco.
after his father had passed away. So we brought the box and we were doing box sessions. We had gone for the Day of the Dead. So we were visiting cemeteries and we were doing all of that. And we had, our hotel room was over the bay. It looked over the bay. So we had this beautiful balcony and we'd sit out there at night and just, it was so beautiful. So we're sitting out there and we're doing a box session and we're getting static. Nothing was coming through. Nothing was coming through.
At first, the box locked up on me.
All of a sudden,
It stopped working.
we're getting music and we're getting French music. And it was just a song that was so totally beautiful.
Like 10 or 15 minutes though.
Yeah. And I looked at him and I go, wait a minute. I want to know where in Mexico there's a French radio station, because that's so that in itself was telling us that we weren't picking up some crazy reception from a radio station.
But
Right.
it was also our anniversary.
It was our anniversary, and it was his father sent us this music for our anniversary.
And after the song was over, he goes, "This is for you,
It's
for your anniversary."
And it was like his father's voice is plain as day.
We were in tears.
I was like, holy shit. How does that happen?
I'm like,
you know?
thank you, Dad. That was
Thank you.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
boy.
after that, nothing.
Well, if I was able to pick up 1/3 of what you guys just talked about in one occurrence for my
And
whole
you know
entire
what?
career.
You will be able to when the timing is right, and
Well,
when
tell you
Spirit
what,
wants you to.
We'll get together. We'll go somewhere. Hell with this COVID stuff, but we'll go somewhere and we'll bring a couple of the boxes and we'll just play.
Okay.
And you'll see the difference between the boxes.
Yeah, I mean we've done sessions in restaurants. It doesn't make any difference where you are or what the situation is. I mean, yeah, you just bring it, turn it on. The best thing is when we carry it and we're flying, and you have to go through they go through your bags, you know, and this one woman, the TSA agent, she was hysterical.
Man.
They, you know, scan the case and can you open it up? And Jeff opens it up and the guy just kind of looks at it and the lady goes, what is that? And I go, it's a radio. She goes, what kind of radio is that? Jeff goes, oh, it's a radio where we can talk to dead people. She looked at me. She goes, close that case.
Well, but another time, remember the young guy?
Then the guy told us, can you go to the side and
Go
turn
to the
it
side
on?
and turn it on.
Can you turn it on for me?
And I said,
It's
can
like,
you
sure.
can you say hi to this young gentleman here? And it called out his name. He goes, turn it off. Get out of here. And he walked away. It called out his full name.
Okay. Those responses and those reactions are great. Sometimes they don't even ask, they just kind of give you the side eye. You know?
Yeah.
Somebody just mentioned ambush paranormal.
Know about him.
What is that?
I have no clue. Don't look at me.
Ambush paranormal. If I'm trying to remember.
Oh my God. Were those the guys
Isn't that Scott? No.
No. Ambush paranormal. Are those the ones that were when Ursula, we did like the first conference? Oh no, those were the guys who were debunking everything.
Yeah.
That was somebody different.
That was yeah.
I don't know who Ambush Paranormal
I've heard
is.
about Ambush Paranormal, and God, I can't remember exactly.
I have no idea.
I can't remember what this.
But if
stick
you
is.
ask me any of those TV shows or anything like that, I'm the one who has no clue.
Well, I don't think this is a TV show.
No, it is a legitimate paranormal group.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
This was just one comment that was made. And I'm sort of working with one of my members, Sharon Moritz. She's sending me things on Messenger that are being commented on the page.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that came from.
Any
Yeah, if there's any
or anything,
questions.
yeah, we'll be happy to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, and you made a comment about working the box in the house. Now, I have, as you can see behind me there's a bunch of these little toys and things. that belong to my grandkids. And I've gone ahead and stayed away from it in the house.
He would not let me do it in the house at all.
No, when he first started doing the box, I refused to let him do it in the house. He was allowed to do it outside. He was allowed to do it in the driveway, but he was not allowed to do it in the house.
Until one day she came home, and I'm on the couch with the shotgun and my ghost box, and I'm on the Skype with out of New Jersey, Stephen Bruce. What are you doing? There's a reason. There's a method in my madness. And what happened was there was a spirit, Alice, who I heard her screaming in the house upstairs. I'm like, I'm the only one home. I mean, I heard her screaming, so I'm like, I had a shotgun on the side, and I'm just like, you know what? There's someone in the house. They're not supposed to be here. I'm going to go nail them, whoever it is. And Stephen Bruce was like, we know that sound. You just load a shotgun. I'm like, yes. I'm going through the house because they heard the screaming. And through the reflection in the glass, I saw two guys with suits and hats, like Men in Black. And I'm like, immediately I recognized them as collectors. I'm like, okay. And I came downstairs a few minutes later. I'm like, okay. Now we gotta fire up my box, my house, my box, find out who's here. And we find out it was a woman named Alice who died in Ohio. And she died in a hospital. And the collectors, the guys in the suits, went to collect her, and it scared her. So when she died and went to a spirit out of the body, she ran. And she ran all the way from Ohio out here to Illinois and ended up in my house. So, and then like, okay, well, we got to deal with this. So we opened up a portal and we ended up crossing her over. Mm-hmm. But Nancy was just a little pissed off. They're like, you have a box. Why is your box there? Okay. Then why are you sitting there with a shotgun? I go, well, I thought there was someone in the house.
Oh, you know who Ambush Paranormal is?
Yeah, we just got it. Scotty Rourke and Scott Grunwald.
That's what I thought. That's Scott Grunwald.
Yeah.
That's when they busted into your room one night.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with the ghost box.
No.
That has to do with seeing husbands naked.
Okay. We were at the conference. Nancy stayed at the bar with Majid and everybody else, and I was just so trash because I was drinking and I had kidney stones. And I went to the room to go to sleep. Nancy gave my hotel room.
Yeah, because Scott was like, "Where's your husband?" I go, "He's in the room sleeping." He goes, "Where's your room?" I go, "Here's my key." Go. So him and Scotty Rourke go upstairs in the room, and it's like, yeah, we're going to be ambushing. We're going to be really, really quiet. So they open the door. Grunwald crawls in bed with Jeff. Scott's recording this, and all of a sudden, Scott goes, "Are you naked?"
And he pulls up the blanket. He goes, "Yep." Puts it down. He goes, "Wait, let me see." He pulls up. Yeah, he's naked. I go, "Do you mind? Can I go back to bed?"
And then they did it to Greg Kimberly, Laura Kimberly's husband.
Oh, God.
They did the same thing to him. It was hysterical.
I couldn't get mad at these guys. It was so funny.
Yeah. He was mad at me.
I was mad at her.
But getting back to not doing box sessions in the house, I totally get it. I totally understand. Like I said, when he first started doing it,
She didn't think it was safe.
I didn't think it was safe. I didn't know it enough or trust it enough to know what would come through. I had an experience when I was younger with a Ouija board, and that freaked me out totally. I was about 9 or 10 years old. So, and I've always known spirits, so I always knew not to trust the things that you don't know. So he would do it outside, or he would sit in the car, or he would do it at work or whatever. And one day he was doing it. It was in the summer, and he was outside, and he was doing a box session with our friends in Jersey. And I was in the house, and I thought, why don't you go out and figure this out? Go listen, go do something. So as soon as I walked out the back door, this voice goes, "Hey, Nance." And I looked at Jeff, turned around, and went right back in the house again. I thought to myself, okay, I recognized that voice, and nobody ever called me Nance except for my first husband who had passed away. And I thought, was that really him? Those were the things that kept going through my mind. Was that him? Was that him? Was that him? So I thought, nah, it can't be. It can't be. The experiences that we first had with the spirit box when we first started doing all of this, it was kind of haphazard. We didn't know what to believe. There was somebody who was doing a box session there who...
There's no instruction manual with this.
I didn't feel like he knew what he was doing because the things that I was hearing, he was saying I was wrong. So, it was kind of that kind of a situation.
That's why we record it.
So I went back outside again, and they were, doing a session, and you hear all this, and I hear these voices, and I hear these voices, and then I hear it again. And that really freaked me out because, again, it was as clear as day. So I came in the house, and Jeff came inside, and he goes, "What's the matter?" And I go, "That was Joe's voice. That was Joe. He's out there. He's, wherever he's coming through." So Jeff proceeded to have a conversation with him and our friends in Jersey while I was in the house, like totally crazy, freaked out.
We talked about the kids.
And the house and the changes that we made and things like that. So that was my first experience with really having faith in what comes through. And we always make sure when we're done with a session that that box session is closed. We don't just turn that box off. There's so many people that do that. They'll run a box all day long and they don't shut it down right. Well, it's just like anything else. If you don't shut it down to make sure that spirit's home, then how do you know they're not hanging out? So there was one experience that we had where we weren't able to close a session the right way. And that whole week at home, it was like there was a heavy cloud hanging over the house. Everything went wrong that week. It was sad in the house. I actually blessed the whole house. I saged and blessed the whole house. And then once he closed that box down and made sure spirit was home, everything was fine. It was like a breath of fresh air. So you always need to make sure when you are done that we only trust hearing home. We don't trust anything else. We make sure that the guides
trust one spirit guide to tell us.
Yeah, is you ask, we want to make sure that everybody's home. You hear, you hear it's okay. You hear all of this. No, I want to hear that they're all home. And once they say that they're all home, then we can turn that box off.
By the one spirit guide 7.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't, if you never turn that box on in your house, don't even think twice about it. Trust your instincts. That's what it all comes down to.
Your instincts and your comfort level.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. I mean, I did a Radio Shack box for someone, and he abused it and not using it properly. The nice box, the really expensive one. One's a pain in the ass to take apart and put back together. They throw the knobs and switches back on, but the box works beautifully. And at the point, I told him to take the batteries out of it, and the box was still going on by itself. I mean, the box would go on when he wasn't home and communicate. And his house was just cluttered with spirits. And he'd come home and there's smoke in the house and the box is on, the TV's on, and they're watching a ball game. I told him, take the box, trust me, please take the box, get a box of kosher salt, put it in a bag with the salt and bury the damn thing. Get rid of it because there's no controlling that box anymore.
Yeah, because at that box, the box is contaminated. You just can't do anything to fix it.
So I don't know whatever happened with it, but just get rid of it.
Have you guys noticed any new equipment that's come out that's caught your eye?
Because I don't pay attention to any of it.
A lot of equipment. We used to go out and buy, the equipment.
He always needed the latest, greatest, and all that stuff. But
we're at the point where, why are we doing this? Who are we doing this for? What are we doing? We're doing it for ourselves. But you know what? We know already. We've experienced it. And everything, even some is a rerun or new experiences. But we're not, all the people out there that have all this expensive equipment, keep buying it, are looking to document an experience.
Yeah.
Because they can't physically feel
They
it,
might
see
not
it,
be
or
able to.
experience
Yeah,
it.
so they're looking at it as, I always say I'm my own best tool.
Yeah.
So,
We
yeah.
were at Alton, the Mineral Springs Hotel, years ago, and we went through a walkthrough, and the spirit of Arthur, who died in the early 1900s, and we talked to him later, find out that it wasn't a suicide, someone killed him and staged it to look like a suicide. He was the artist there who painted the mural at the entrance. And we're walking by in the banquet room going into the site, and I saw him. At the time I didn't know who he was, and we made eye contact. And he turned around, and we're following a bunch of people. And all of a sudden, he's right behind me, and he's punching me. He's sucker punching me, my kidney, my right kidney in the back. And the guy in front of me heard me, and I made a sound, and I went down on my knees. And he's watching the whole thing. He's going, looking at me on the ground, looking up, looking at the spirit punching me. Look at me in the ground and looking at the spirit. I go, are you seeing this? He goes, yeah, but I don't know what I'm seeing. I said, you see him punching me? He goes, yeah. I said, he's punching me. He goes, yeah, but I'm getting nothing on my equipment. I don't know. Okay, so what are you going to trust, your equipment or your eyes? I mean, sometimes spirits can manipulate energy in their own energy. They can let you see and experience what they want you to.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you might get nothing, but if you're really there for the right reasons, they'll manifest to you.
I mean, we have a really good friend of ours who loves the gadgets. He has absolutely every possible electronic thing that you can imagine that's going to help you find spirit, see spirit, know that spirit's there. And that's awesome if that's the way he has to see it, feel it, hear it, whatever.
But he's opening up a little bit more.
Yeah,
and more,
he
and
is.
His wife is.
But and that's what he trusts, and that's fine. And he's gotten great results. He's seen and heard and felt and all that stuff. So, but he's done it with that. And because that's what he needs. He's not like we are where, spirit comes to us. So we know it's there. We feel it. We see it. We talk to it. Not everybody has that gift. So if you need to use a gadget and you trust in that gadget, that's terrific. As long as whatever instrument you're using is being used properly.
You know how to interpret
and
respectfully.
It works the right way. Like when people were using the meters and they'd be in a room with fluorescent lights or halogen lights and, oh, look at it's jumping. Well, of course it's jumping. Fluorescent make everything move. Yeah. Let's face it, and it's, oh, look. And
oh, yeah. And I mean, my favorite thing is people, the groups are using the Gaussian meter, what's that other one? The one the Ghost Hunter uses.
I don't know.
You push the button on it, but people later in the area are using walkie-talkies. Well, guess what the walkie-talkie does? It sets off the meter.
Yeah.
Or your cell phone.
Yes. Yeah, your cell phone.
That's why we like cell phones off.
Yeah.
Leave them in the car.
Yep, you don't really need them. So, I mean, whatever you need to, and again, it's got to be for the right reasons. If you're not respecting spirit,
that's all. That's going to dictate the communication.
Mm-hmm.
And you will get something from them, but you may not like it.
You may not like it.
What's your favorite location?
My favorite location is actually Hull House. I love Hull House, and the best thing is you can't go in it. You can't go inside Hull House and investigate, and you don't need to. All you need to do is stand in that courtyard or take pictures through the windows, and you're going to get something. You're going to get something. Every time we've gone down there, we've done box sessions in the courtyard.
Yep.
We've just gone down and taken pictures, and it's always something, and it's not necessarily good, But it's an experience. That's my favorite. And it's,
Okay, what town's that in?
it's in Chicago. It's down,
Downtown.
yeah, downtown.
600 South Halsted, I think.
Halsted.
So it's the one that Ursula talks about all the
Yes.
time, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite location anywhere. I mean, there's places that I
Wow.
would, like, we still haven't been to Gettysburg yet. That's a bucket list thing, is to go to Gettysburg. And that's, one place where you don't need anything other than yourself,
Right.
because you're gonna yeah.
We had, I've been there twice. What brought me into the paranormal was when I was 10 and I was there with my family, or I was there with my father, my sister, my uncle, and my sister. I think I said sister, right? Uncle, and my dad. And the wind would change and then it would die down. And then when the wind would die down, you could hear everything. We had it for half a day. It was going on.
Wow.
And finally, and this is a long time ago. So my father got a hold of one of the park rangers when we were leaving and asked them, were they doing a lot of shooting around here today? And he says, no, he says they weren't, but they do it all the time. And he
They know.
smiled, and it was like, wow. And it was like, from that point on, and I bring it up at the house when I was growing up, and everybody would look at me like, you're some sort of weirdo,
But see, now that was you experiencing something without having to use anything
Right.
other than the location.
You were gifted with the ability to experience that, and it's something you will never forget.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, everybody in the family heard it too.
Yeah. It's
So, I
Yeah.
mean, when we went out there 3 years ago with GRS, Mark Nesbitt, we were with him and we were talking, and I brought it up to him, and he says, that's one of the oldest. And I said, well, I don't need to know that part of, reports of activity at Gettysburg, because they didn't even keep records back then.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
But it's
Yeah.
just so historic. I mean, anyone that any empathic ability will be like on overload there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite place?
I kind of like Sloss Furnace, and then the Mason House afterwards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we crossed, we did an event. They were hosting an event, and we crossed over 800 spirits at Sloss Furnace at
Wow.
one time. And then the next day we went to the Mason House, and I proceeded to piss off all the women in the room. And well, no, it wasn't Mason. The King House.
The King House.
The King House. We're a little farther north from.
It was on the campus, the university campus.
University campus, and Mr. King was.
Oh, he was a bastard.
He was. He did not like women.
He didn't like women at all.
For women.
Yeah. No.
And he called trance medium. He channeled through me, and I proceeded just to insult the women in the room.
Huh.
And it was not me. I couldn't control what was coming out.
Yeah, he had a picture of his wife in this beautiful Great Dane.
Yeah.
And he was giving me a very hard time in the room. And I looked at the picture and I said, so, what's up with the picture? He goes, well, I hate my wife, but I love the dog. And she wouldn't let me just take a picture of the dog. It's this beautiful portrait. So she wouldn't let him do a portrait of the dog. So she had to be in the picture with it.
He had not talked to
horrible.
anyone in 140 years.
Yeah, there's a reason
That
why.
was the first time that he actually.
Wow.
He was probably one of the first narcissists, because he was not a nice man at all.
There's a lot of people across the country that investigate. And I would say to you, or ask you, have you guys done anything in Virginia, West Virginia, or anything like that?
We have not been out there yet.
How about Indiana?
There's a few places in Indiana I'd like to go to. There's a jail, a few houses. But
The
just-
Crown Point, the Crown Point.
Yes.
We did a paranormal like unity thing down at the Hannah House about 3 years in a row down in Indianapolis, and got to meet a lot of the groups down there. So you get to see a cross section
That's nice.
Yeah, it is.
of them
You
and their
get to-
methods.
All the
Yeah,
other
and
people,
that's
we get to know
everybody.
them.
Everybody does something differently. You know, it
Yeah,
might
every-
it might be the same tool, it might be the
No.
same device, but everybody does it differently.
And
So-
I'll be the first one to tell you, hey, if it works for you and you get great communication and you do it, keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
What did we were at some event, and we were doing an interview, and somebody had said to us, so, you know, what makes you feel like you're an expert with what you do? And I said, I'm not an expert. You know, I would never ever claim to be an expert in anything that I do, because to me that means that if you're an expert, you know it all. And you
Never
don't
know it
have
all.
the opportunity to learn anything. We're learning every day, you know,
Yes.
every time we talk to somebody, like with you, you know, you do things differently and we do things differently. And if you can't share all of that and work together, then what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, our mission, or what we do with the spare box, we're not an expert. We don't say, hey, do it this way, do it this way, do a straight line. This is what you need to do.
Do it
No.
however it's comfortable.
Do
for
it
you.
however works for you.
Mhm.
Try a few different ways. Always be respectful. Close down the box sessions. Don't do it if you in a bad mood, had a bad day. Don't do it with someone who's in a bad mood or anyone who's been drinking or drugged up.
Right.
Mhm.
And we try to teach when people ask, we'll say, yeah, okay, well, I'll teach you some ways that we do it that you try them and make them work for you,
Yeah,
however you want to
fine-tune
do it,
Yep.
that you're comfortable with.
The questions you ask, the things you do, make it so it works for you.
But
And
just-
always be true to you.
And most of the thing, be protective of
Mhm.
yourself, your family, and everybody with it, and know what's going on and be conscious of everything around you.
After we went to Sloss Furnace, it was bad coming home because
Oh,
everybody
man.
who we were with had bad problems when they came home.
We were all in a funk for a week or two.
It was excuse me, just
A black cloud
talk about
was,
the black cloud, man.
Oh,
Yeah, that was another one when I walked around and blessed the house. I had everybody, and our sons were still at home then. So I had everybody out of the house. I was like, don't come home right away after work. You give me at least an hour, and then I'll call you guys and tell you guys all when
Yeah.
to come home.
we brought back a lot of that energy
Yeah, there
with
was a
us
lot
and
of
didn't
bad
realize
energy
it.
that came back with us, and I totally went from top to bottom.
You know where we got to take him?
Mm.
The slave cemetery out by Oak Brook.
Yeah.
And I have to get a hold of Ron. We go
Ron.
out there one night. I was telling you about it. It's absolutely amazing. And again, you can see if we're going to leave, you can see them standing at the little pillars in the front. They want to come home with you.
Yeah.
If they like you, they'll come follow you, but they won't cross the threshold.
And it's a tiny little place. There's homes that border this cemetery, really nice homes that border it. And we were there. Of course, it was late at night. And we
Morning.
walked up. It's like a hill. You walk up, you kind of walk around. There's graves all around. There's bushes, there's trees. It's really pretty. And we were just walking down this little tiny pathway. And I look up and I see something get up, a shadow, get up from behind the bush, stand up straight, and walk out of the cemetery. And I nudge these guys and I'm like, look at that.
Yeah.
And we all saw this figure. First of all, it's late at night. Nobody would literally be underneath a bush. Get up, stand up straight, look around, and just walk out. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
someone's going to get dinner, you know?
Yeah. Now, even for us, we were walking around with malmeters. So we were like, yeah, okay, we want to, some justification as to what's going on with the energy. We had on a tombstone, on a grave marker there, we had 6 millimeters, put all the lights on,
Mhm.
doing a question and answer session. And we were getting answers, and all 6 millimeters would react at the same time and go to the same sequential
the
number
same- the
on the
same.
meters. All
It
of them,
was
all
all of
6 of
them.
them got the same readings. No variance at all. It was like amazing. We're like, okay, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, it was.
I have a close friend who owns Old South Pittsburgh. You guys froze. I don't know why they froze. Getting really close too. I don't know, people. We just froze. Did somebody hit the wrong button? Okay. It froze for a minute.
We're back. Sorry.
We're back. It went to sleep on me.
Yeah. We didn't move the mouse for a long time, so the computer didn't think we were doing anything.
But anyway, I have this friend that owns Old South Pittsburgh Hospital,
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
and I've been there twice. And I used to take a lot of IR pictures at a lot of
Yep.
locations, and I used to do a lot of sweeps. And I have an issue with tremors, so I started using a tripod. And I was sweeping the furnace room, and I caught this nurse, or a lady that I was told was a nurse, and you could see the whole entire outline of her.
Right.
You could see her, and then down at her feet was her cat. And so I was really, out of all the pictures I took on that trip, we got back home, I went through the whole entire thing on the computer. This has happened to me 3 times. All the pictures I would shoot, if I captured something, it would be on the last picture. How, I don't know. But anyway, I saw
That's because
that,
it was meant to be.
and I
Now,
took it. I said it to Stanley. You remember Stan Soho?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Stan. And he said, hey, I got a picture for you. And he emailed me this picture that was taken 5 years before that of the same nurse up in her third floor room
Wow.
with the cat at her feet again.
Now, the funny thing about that, with that, if you see her, you ask her if you could take a picture of her, or multiple pictures. If they say yes, she'll let you take pictures of her all day long, or however she'll allow you. But if she says no, she won't let that picture come through.
Wow.
That's a little trick I learned. You ask, may I please take a photograph of you? Or 2. And then, look at the picture. And then when I'm done, I go back. I said, thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
It's, some of the things that I've seen, and I've only been around with GRS from 15, 16. So it's going on 5 years. And it's been a ride that I wouldn't give up for anything.
Yeah, me either.
No. It's
Been fun.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure there are things that you've experienced and that you can't talk about and won't talk about to people because they're going to want to lock you up in a loony bin.
Right. But that's been the way we've gone through life all the way from the 50s.
Oh yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm that old. So you had to learn not to
Yeah.
not to say anything, or you're the wild child, or the
Oh
black
man, I
sheep,
was the
and-
crazy one. No, I was the crazy one. Ma, you better do something about your daughter. She's talking to people that aren't there.
I would go to the cemetery out here is where my whole family's buried. My father's buried. I go see my grandmother, my grandfather. And I was there one Sunday with my mother, and I'm just like talking to her. I go, who are these people? Well, they're some relatives. I go, she won't shut the hell up. He died to get away from her, and she's still ragging on him, and she's just like, yeah, so now every time when I go back there, she goes, what are they saying now?
Yeah.
What are they saying? She's still bitching, and I'd be yelling at this woman. I'm like, he died to get away from you. Isn't that bad enough?
Yeah, and then his mom goes, "How do you know?" Jeff goes, "Because he just told me."
Well, I'm glad that we've all been together tonight. And I want to
You
say
too. Thank you.
sincerely, this is really something. And I sure hope that some of the people up here in Lake County have learned something tonight.
But we need to get together and
Yeah,
We-
'cause
I mean-
we're right here in Lake County.
we
So
need to take you on a weekend to what was it, White something out on Cuba.
Oh, White Hill Road?
the White Cemetery.
The White Cemetery. They got
Yeah.
graves that go back to the Civil War. And I'll take you down the street there where there's a house that
On Rainbow Road in
It's-
Cuba.
it's
Yeah,
on Cuba. It glows green. Okay?
if you're lucky enough to see
If you're
it.
lucky enough to see it. If you're not lucky enough to see it because the house isn't there. And I saw it one day and I drove up to the house and I got out of the car. I'm looking around. I'm like, it's phasing in and out. And it dawned on me, what happens to me if the house phases out when I'm on the property? I'm like, I think I'm going to get the hell out of here real quick.
Well, Jeff, Nancy, it's been great. And
Thanks, Greg.
I have an open invitation down the road. If you want to come back on and talk,
Sure.
I'd be more than
Anytime.
welcome to have you.
Yeah, and
Anytime.
little Miss Vanna says hello.
Hey,
Say hi, Peanut. Look, say hi.
Yeah, she's been trying to get our attention for the last hour.
Yeah.
okie doke. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Okay, you
Have a
take
nice
care.
weekend,
And
Greg.
we'll talk soon, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Okay,
Good night.
bye-bye.
Bye.